Greetings. My name's Philip. I'm here with Santos Bonacci again, and we're talking today about the archetype of Libra. Going to go deep into all of the beautiful, beautiful resonance of this Venetian veneer. It's the lens of perception, I feel, Santos. It's really how we project into the world. Because I see on the glyph of Libra, it's the scales and also the sun on the horizon. And I see also that the sun is at full, as they say in classic astrology, which is to say it's at its detriment, or as it would be another term. But actually, I see that the sun is just going away. The quality of light is fading away. So it's a real depth of perception, which you can only obtain within the 3D world. This is my experiences of Libra as a Libra ascendant, South Node, and Moon. And we're just coming off the back of a Libra full moon. So how do you feel about it? What's your first stance in this Libra archetype?
Well, you hit it on the head, the nail on the head. The Libran sign is the first sign of autumn and winter, and the winter half of the year. So if you do a sine wave, Libra is in the middle of the sine wave. It's the 7th sign. So you have 6 above, daytime, 6 below, nighttime. So in the day cycle, so you have daytime. As soon as the sun hits the horizon and sets, it's in Libra, the 7th sign, because 6 are above, 6 are below, and Libra is the first sign. It's in the middle of the wave, hence it judges the wave. It is the judge, it is the balancer, the harmonizer of the wave. So you are right, Saturn exalts in Libra, whereas the sun exalts in Aries opposite.
So isn't it funny that you say that the sun sets in the Libra time, and Saturn used to be in like another pantheon, be known as set, and yet it's exalted in Libra.
That's right, because it is set, and that's when sunset happens in the sign of the exaltation of Saturn, set, and opposite set, or Saturn is the sun in Aries exalting, and that's Horus on the horizon. They both rule the horizons, one above, one below the horizon. So if you have a horizon like this, Aries is always here. Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer. Cancer's midday. Leo, Virgo, Cancer, Leo, Virgo. Virgo is the last, as soon as the sun hits the horizon, setting, that's when Set exalts. So he exalts in the nighttime. The sun, obviously, in Aries, exalts in Aries during the day. So Libra is about liberty. Liberty comes from Libra, librar, liberar. And that liberty has to do with liberty from the day into the night, so you can have rest.
Is this why they have Liberty bells? Because Venus rules Libra, and then when we go into the evening, we have the evening star, and it's a blue, beautiful bell or blossoming beauty.
Yep, exactly. So, but in the winter, it's the same thing. So, I mean, in the year cycle. So you still have a sine wave. Starts over here, goes up to the at the equator, March the 21st. That was just 3 days before my birthday last week.
Happy solar return to you, Santos.
Thank you. So everything starts here. The year begins on the 21st of March, period. Aries begins here, always, every year on the tropical cross. So we've got to go up to Cancer, the Tropic of Cancer. Then we've got to go down to the equinox of September, where Libra begins. And liberty. liberty from the hard work of summer and the fruits that were grown and harvested in Virgo, the sign prior to Libra. Hence the sign of bread, and Libra is the sign of wine. And Leo is the sign of the oil of Christ. So that's why oil, bread, and wine are Christian symbols. Leo, Virgo, the bread basket, and Libra, the wine season. So when you look for words dealing with Libra, you'll find them in interesting places. For instance, EquiLIBRAte, Libra. If it equilibrates, it's always harmonizing. So it equilibrates the sine wave.
So it sets the tone. So like if you was going to be maybe in the temperament of anger, well, that's what's going to ripple out either way. Or if you're in the temperament of bliss, then that's going to ripple out because it sets the tone from that central space. If Libra is in the middle of the sine wave, then it's always going to be rippling out. Like if you wiggle a rope, like a skipping rope, then it's going to wiggle out on the same kind of gyration. If I'm wiggling it really rampantly, it's going to go diggly diddly doo. If I'm doing it more like this, it's going to have more of those kind of curvaceous width to it.
Yeah, it's a harmonic sign. So it's about harmony and getting along with others and partners and collaborating. When you look at the word CaLIBRAte, that's got Libra in it. It calibrates the sign, equilibrates the sign. But from calibration comes collaboration. They are people who are known to be collaborators. They like to work with other people. And they also like to be good devil's advocates. Hence, they are deliberators. Many judges, many lawyers become Librans. Every time I meet a judge or a lawyer or a barrister, I always ask about their sign. And 80% of the time they're Libran because they love to deliberate.
Did you say that a Libra could be fair to a fault? Sometimes that they could even segregate themselves from prosperity just because they want to be fair for the overall good.
Definitely. They're very self-sacrificing. Absolutely. Librans are very, very good for collaborating, which is a Libra word, and deliberating, playing devil's advocate and advocating for the poor and the needy, the underdog.
As well within the body, like they have all the kidneys, and the kidneys can take a lot of strife. They take a lot of the weight. They take a lot of the load when it comes down to the toxins that we feed into the body. And so they're very alleviating, you could say, for the general capacity of the rest of existence. For some reason, I got the image of Atlas holding the world above its head. I mean, I don't mean to champion Libra too much, but there's a lot of energy going into those parts of the body.
Yeah. So Libra, the kidneys are also in the center of your body, which is a sine wave as well.
So if you've got putrid kidneys, it's going to send out a ripple out effect, just like what we've been kind of discussing.
Yeah. Yep. Another word is libations. Pouring out drinks and having drinks to the gods. The Jews love Libra. They call it Tishri. They also love the opposite sign, Aries. They call that Nisan. But the Jews have many, many festivals in Libra, libations. Libation comes from Libra. So they have Judgment Day, which is the equinox. They have Yom Kippur, Rosh Hashanah, which means the head of the year, meaning that they have the beginning of their secular year in Tishri and the beginning of their sacred year in my sign, Aries, Nisan. But definitely both of those signs are very, very strong Jewish and Christian months or signs. So Libra is all about the crucifixion of the Christ on the Last Supper. When you see Leonardo da Vinci's Last Supper, you'll see Christ standing in the position in the middle of the table with 6 disciples to his right, 6 to his left, apostles, I should say. And right to his very, very, very left, right here to his left, right next to him on his left side, you see a woman type disciple with her arms stretched out. That's the 7th sign. So like if you start from the very first at the top of the table, Aries, then the second one is Taurus. The third guy is Gemini. He's got his hands up like this because Gemini rules the arms, the twins. So Aries is always at the head of the table. Taurus is second, then Gemini's third. And then you see Cancer with a knife in his hand, and he's pointing to the throat of Virgo on the right side of Jesus, showing that there's no Adam's apple, hence it's a woman apostle. Leo, he's got his arrogant elbow on the table. No other apostle can do that. Leo, because he is the ruler of the zodiac. But on the exactly to the left of Jesus is a green disciple, very effeminate, and he's got his arms stretched out, just like Gemini has got his arms like this, indicating the third sign. This is the 7th sign, the scales of justice, of balancing. So Leonardo, he knew what he was doing. He was encoding esoteric occult symbols in a very inquisitional period. You know, if Leonardo da Vinci's neighbor didn't like him, all they had to do was get on their phone, hypothetically speaking, of course, or just write a letter to the Pope and say, hey, Popey Poo, Leonardo over here, he's pretty clever, but he's actually encoding astrology into your Christian science. I mean, that is also hypothetical because I'm sure the Pope knew it was astrology and I'm sure he was in on it and I'm sure the Pope directed him to do it that way. So there are many ways of looking at this. People think, oh, Leonardo, he was so clever, he was hiding it. No, not necessarily. Back then, astrology was not persecuted. And they didn't do it. Leonardo da Vinci wouldn't make art and make it obvious, you know. This is Aries, the first sign. The third guy with his hands like this, that is Gemini, because they don't do that shit. These guys were not being persecuted at the time, and everybody knew that everything was astrological. So anyway, back to the word libations and other Libran words. Library. They are good bookkeepers. They love keeping books. They love reading books. They love law. As I said, they deliberate. Judges love to deliberate. So this is all Libra.
And ahhing, like it could be this way, it could be that way.
Yeah, collaborating. Yeah, but going back to that deliberating, yet see my son's Libra, and he's always been like a Lisa Simpson, and I've always been like Homer. So I'm dumb, and my clever little Libran son, who's very mental, Lisa used to run rings around Homer, you know, with her legal talk. And she'd play devil's advocate really good. I could always see that in my son, you know. He's always thinking about, yeah, but what about the other side? Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but you can see them deliberating, harmonizing, balancing. In fact, I've got a chart here to show you the difference between Aries and Libra. So on the first word will be Arian and the second will be Libran. So Aries, Independence, Libra. Interdependence, Aries, self, Librans, other. Aries, me. Libra, you. Aries, I. Libra, thou. Aries, action. Libra, interaction. Aries, competition. Libra, cooperation. Aries, conquest. Librans, compromise. Aries, aggression. Libra, diplomacy. Aries, war. Libra, peace. So again, all those Libra words, collaborating, deliberating, calibrating, equilibrating, it all has to do with that mental human force that they've been endowed with. When the sun has gone down, see, Libra always sits on the horizon, whether it's the day or the year. So Libra denotes the darkness, the first hours of darkness every day. And it also denotes the first hours, the first days along the year of the night being longer than the day. That's what Libra's famous for. Libra is the sign in which the nighttime, if you've got a 12 hours of day, here in Mexico, it's pretty much 12 hours a day, 12 hours a night. Sun rises 6 o'clock, sets 6 p.m. Is that right, Daniel?
That's correct.
Spot on, right?
Spot on.
Because we're just under the Tropic of Cancer. So, but, you know, let's say you go up to Italy or where you come, I know you're in Playa del Carmen right now, but you come from the UK. So up there's more of this, more distortion. So, you know, in winter, you've got these really long nights, like 16 hours, right?
Yeah, it's forever. It's forever and a night and a day. It's just
Forever. But during the summer, how long are your days?
Oh, we can have eventually you get to about a 16-hour day because it flips.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And Cancer's right above. So but you've got to go to sleep when it gets dark, otherwise you're not going to get much sleep in the summertime in the UK.
Right. So that's never going to happen here in Mexico. It's always tropical. So, but Libra is the sign where the night conquers the day in the day cycle. But in the year cycle, it's still there on the horizon, below the horizon in the west. It's always in the west. Aries is always in the east. And Aries comes up 30 degrees from the horizon. Libra goes down 30 degrees from the horizon in the west. So in the wintertime, on the 23rd of September, you have what the Jews call Judgment Day. Well, that's the equinox. Why is it Judgment Day? Well, firstly, because it's equal to sun setting, where Saturn exalts in Libra and he swallows up his brother Horus and Set. Horus is in Aries, Set is in Libra, and the sun sets there. So Libra has judged the 23rd in the year is Judgment Day. A lot of animals get culled. In September, in Virgo, the farmers, they get rid of all their poor sheep, you know, broken legs, not very healthy. It's Judgment Day. And usually it happens right around the equinox because they know the equinox.
What's that thing that the judge had to she whacks down and it goes, what's that thing? A gully or gallows?
A gavel.
A gavel. Very nice to that man on the left over there, or the right for you there, Santos.
Hey?
Congratulations to the gentleman who shouted it out. But yes, that thing, that gavel that goes down is the judgment when it's made, isn't it?
Yeah, that's Danny, my right-hand man. Come and say hello. He's a Scorpio. Hercules.
How you doing?
Of good, thank you. How are you doing? You having a good afternoon?
Doing very well. Enjoying paradise on earth.
I love to hear that. That's good stuff. So it's a gavel, is it, that the judge whacks down?
Yep.
Yeah.
Gavel.
Cool. So when this is so it's a bit like when the sun goes on the horizon, or when you get your stock at the end of the harvest, the decisions have already been made. A bit like when you've got Saturn exalted in Libra, it's a done deal, and this something can change your decision. Because the reason why it's exalted, Saturn, is because our level of perception is definite. If we feel like something sets the scene, we're concrete in our beliefs until we change our lens of perception, until we get clear on that and change our opinion, change our assumptions. So we have to live our stories out through time to wash away, to erode those tears. It's only the emotions that will cut away from those solid mountains that we have come into our perception with regards to Saturn exalted in that sign of Libra. It has to be a very much circumstantial, emotional baptism to be able to cut through those decisions that we made to really come into definition of a certain belief system. This is why Saturn is so powerful in that situation. So if you think you're good enough and you've got Saturn in Libra, you're going to really go far. If you've got doubts and you've got Saturn in Libra, you're going to carry those doubts with you until you have an emotional situation cut through and change your situation and circumstance so you believe and perceive of yourself in a different manner. My mother's got Saturn in Libra, and it's right on my ascendant. So that's why I get that shit. Because I know it and I've experienced it.
Yeah. So there's absolutely no mistake about why the Jews call the 23rd, the equinox, first day of Libra, Judgment Day, because it goes back to the position that it holds below the horizon, daily and yearly. And there's also a deacon in Libra called Lupus, the wolf, and it's the wolf of night. It's the wolf that swallows Little Red Riding Hood, the sun in the forest on the ecliptic during the day. Libra's always there to judge. The judge every day gets judged on that part of the sine wave of its daily cycle, on that part which corresponds with the 23rd of September, Judgment Day. As soon as you see the last rays of sun, and then darkness sets in and there's no more sunlight at all to be seen, that now is Libra. That's the energy of Libra. It carries a certain amount of energy of judgment about it. You know, it's like, wow, we've lost our hero. We can't build our houses now. We don't have light. We can't work. We can't do many things that we can do when Horus is up for his 12 hours. Horus seems to be kinder to us. We can see where we're going. We don't fall over. We can, see all the beautiful people in the community. We can cook. We can do everything that we need to do. But then when Satan set at sunset, Saturn starts his rule, then we all sort of change totally the way our day runs. Everything changes. It flips 180. We have to turn lights on. We're in a different mode, And then people start thinking about sleeping. You never generally think about having, sleeping a day off. You want to see some stuff. You want to go to the pyramids. You want to go to the beach. You want to enjoy yourself. So Libra has got all of that about it and more. It's a very, very powerful mental sign. Of all the air signs, I find Libra to be more mentally palpable than the other two signs. Geminians are more sort of communicative, and Aquarians are more sort of about knowing. So they're not as expressive and friendly to express their knowledge as Librans, I think, which have Venus as the ruler. So, but you can feel all the air signs, their mental energy, but Librans' mental energy is clearly palpable and very, very different from the other two signs. You can see them, you can watch them thinking. They love to have a strong mental field around them, you know. And if you ever, you know, want to make a final decision on something, I'd call up your Libran friend if they're good friends, because they'll weigh the odds and the pros and the cons, and they weigh all the possibilities out and generally come to a good balanced decision. So that's
with Venus being the ruler of both Taurus and Libra and having these different posts. And it's currently that Venus has just shifted from the morning star phase, from the descent, and had its conjunction with the sun just within the past few days. And now it's having its ascent. So it's burnt away a lot of old stories. And now we're realizing actually that we've moved beyond them and able to change our idea or how we think and feel about ourselves in certain areas of life. And so it's going to re-emerge as the evening star in a few weeks, about 6-7 weeks, in the middle of May. And these two qualities could be seen as different, what would you say? Different tribes, if astrological star tribes that we're not really in touch with it. You know, we don't really work with that etiquette because we're blinded by this knowledge. So we've got, how would you say is the better way to describe it? The Luciferian and another one. What's the other, what would you say? But there's nothing wrong with this word Luciferian. It's just
satanic.
Luciferian.
The god. The God of the universe. See, this is where only real syncretists will be able to follow. All right. As for the rest, they will never grasp this, probably in a billion lifetimes, and it doesn't matter. But how it works is just like this in all systems. There is the God of day and the God of night, yin and yang, white and black, hot and cold. And these two opposing bisexual forces of electricity will always exist in the demiurgic world of matter. Okay? So Lucifer simply means light bearer. That's the sun. Lucy in the sky with diamonds. The diamonds are the stars. Luke Skywalker. Luke, the Gospel of Luke. Luke means lucere, light, the light bearer. Lucifero, Luciferus, Lucifer, phosphorus. Lucifer is the sun. Horus, the hour. What hour is it? That's Horus on the horizon. Because Horus tells us the hour, same word. The hours of the day. Hours and Horus are anagrams of each other.
And it's funny because it's hours. And I'm not talking about the time. It's ours to share. This is our segment.
Yeah, exactly. So, Set, on the other hand, is Satan. And Lucifer used to be always, until the Jesuits flipped this around, Lucifer was always known to be the good guy, good cop, and Saturn, Set, the night, was the bad guy, because you fall over and bump your head at night, that's bad. During the day, you don't fall over because you can see the ditch. So that's good. And you can build your house, you can get about and do things because you can see, wow. As Plato said, the eye is the only sense that needs a third thing. You see, hearing is direct. I don't need anything else to be able to hear. Whatever noise happens, my ear directly hears it. But my eye cannot see unless there is a third thing. And Plato said that's the sun.
And the sun used.
But Plato said, sorry.
So the sun used to be called yes, used to be deemed as yes, or on, or I on, and
Yeah.
I is to see, and see in Spanish is yes. And so basically it's confirmation to have this observation, but yet it's more intuitive to be not one who has to buy into illusion, one who actually feels and hears as a frequency-based being, and that's what we are first and foremost before one of the light.
Okay, so that's where I was headed. I was headed at that. Neither of them are evil and neither of them are good. And yet one is called good and one is called evil. But these are just appellatives. These are not hard and fast scientific doctrines. Satan is the one pole of evil, and Jesus, Lucifer, is the other part of good. But both of them are good and evil, and I'll show you how. The sun is good because when you're walking, you don't see the ditch and you don't fall over. That's good. But the sun is also the one that illuminates your eyes of duality, not your pineal gland. Saturn does that at night. But during the day, these two guys get activated and they see red ship, blue ship, good, bad, hot, cold, etc., all the dualities, because there are two eyes. That's their function. And you believe that what you see is real because of Lucifer, the deceiver. Oh yeah, he saved you from falling into the pit, but he deceived your ass by making you think that all of that you see out there is these walls and all of this is eternal and real in the sense of enduring. They're not. These are all atoms in flux. The liquid inside is just as liquid as the bottle. It's just in a more solid state at the moment, but it will turn into that. It will turn into water. It will turn into air. All the element. This won't be here one day because it's a temporal world. So you're Lucifer, who shows you these things, and you believe so much in these things that you invest your whole life chasing material possessions and material property, atoms, blowing in the wind. That's what a rich man is. A rich man is someone who's chasing atoms as much to say, oh, all these atoms are mine. On paper, I own this property. I own half of Texas. I'm a multi-millionaire. I'm called Bill Gates. Those atoms, they own themselves. And they keep moving and creating all kinds of phenomena as they go. So Lucifer is the great deceiver. On the other hand, Saturn brings the darkness. So that's bad because you can't see the ditch and you fall in the ditch and you break your neck and you're in hospital for 6 years, thanks to Satan, who blinded your eyes. But Satan also teaches you to go in to your third eye at night to see with wisdom, and if you can see with that eye, you can actually eventually physically see. But for now, it's just a spiritual sight of seeing, and that's what Saturn does at night. You go within. During the day, it's extroversion, and you are all confident, and you're sure of the world that you live in. Oh, this is how the world is. I know the world. I'm very worldly. I've traveled. I'm a traveled man. I've seen the world. I know how the world works, sort of thing. No one does. And so that's the deception of the daytime of Lucifer. And then Saturn is also good and evil, as I explained. It's like a knife, right? See, I can, this can feed millions of people by making sandwiches, millions of poor people. But this, sharp enough, I can kill 1 million people with this. I can murder animals with it. Is this knife good or is it evil?
It's both, isn't it? So I like that. So we can look at the terminology of positive and negative and see that there's the same, it works the same way, because positive has its quality of beneficial and something which is degrading or not so useful, and negativity, which is a bit like the subtraction rather than adding on. Aries could be considered, you're always adding on, you're going out to start something new, you're building something, you're going into a new identification. Whereas Libra is more subtraction, it's alleviation, it's relief. And so we're taking things away so that we can find that we're able to build a new thing another day. And then taking things away, we gain so much more from not having to do so much. You know, it's deconstruction, it's relief.
It is. It's liberating, Libra. Also, you've got from Libra, you have I forgot where I was going with that, but
Dissemination is another one, because it's the moon and its waning phase. Dissemination, becoming less and less that. But the funny thing is, the term for Venus is moreish, because it's about love, isn't it? It's about seeing the love and the depth of that.
Oh, that's right. That's where I was going. So labra, lips in Italian, labra, L-A-B-R-A. And that's in abracadabra, because when you labra, you open, abra, open your mouth and speak the word of God. So Libra is also about, it's a sign of buying and selling and speaking and selling with your word. Libra, so labra, the lips. And so that's when they go and deliberate in court for justice. They love justice and fairness.
I thought about this, that with Venus being a particular deliverance of Christ energy, because it rules the throat, which is our box, like our vocal box, and it's how we can create a frequency and enunciate our value. But with our perception, it's perceiving and feeling this value with our sight. So one of them is about frequency and sound, and one of them is about the sight. But it's about these two qualities of announcing, as you say, or proclaiming one's own divinity, if you will, would you suggest, or one's own value, because it could be one's own ability to have a trade and to be able to create and produce this certain thing, which is a frequency-based scenario, whether that's food or gardening or dance or whatever it may be, music, these types of things. And so it's perception-based and depends between these two different poles of Taurus and Libra.
Yeah, and Librans are one of the most spiritual signs. Libra and Aries, they, according to Ptolemy, they're the signs that rule the equinoctial axis, and Capricorn and Cancer rule the solstitial axis. So Aries, the lamb, and down at the bottom of here, you got Capricorn, the goat, the sheep and the goat. Opposite the sheep is Libra, and this axis by Ptolemy was called the sacerdotal axis, the axis of the priest. Cancer to Capricorn, we all know that Cancer being investments and the fourth house, and Capricorn being public service, career, and government and politics, etc., is to do with the king and wealth. So here, this horizontal line of the equator from Aries to Libra, from Nisan to Tishri, from Rama to Succoth. These are all in the Bible, by the way, and the Quran. So Libra, being the seventh sign, turns out to be the seventh house. And Guido Bonatti, the 12th century astrologer, one of my favorites, contemporary of Dante Alighieri, he wrote that the seventh house has to do with theology, astrology, divination, philosophy, spiritual science, and health. The house before, the sixth house, is ill health. The seventh house is to do with health. So you find that Librans, generally, you see them paying, they're into health, homeopathy, things like that. And they do it very well because they think about it. So it's very important that any good astrologers out there listening remember that Libra is not just the house, the seventh sign and seventh house denoting partners and public enemies and buying and selling. It's also one of the most spiritual houses and signs. It is the priest class. This is probably what you would call the Levites. In fact, Leva, I think, is Libra. And that's where I think is the Levite 12th tribe of Israel is actually Libra. Dan is Scorpio, but the Levi is Libra. Same word. And so it's all about, in the Lord's Prayer, it's about forgiveness. By the time you start at Aries, hallowed, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Aries, hallowed be thy name. Thy will be done here on earth. Thy will be done, Taurus, on earth as it is in heaven. Cancer, Leo. Give us our daily bread, Virgo. And then forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. That's Libra in the Lord's Prayer. Libra is about forgiveness, forgiving debts, settling the books, balancing the books. And they do that very well. They're very spiritual, very, very spiritual sign. They are the priest class, along with Aries,
so
the Brahmins.
We could say
Brahma has the word Libra in it. Libra. And that's how they say Brahma is Abraham, and that's how they say Abraham in Aramaic. Ibrahim. Al-Ibrahim. It's Libra. So Libra is a very, very important spiritual cardinal tropical sign. It's a cardinal tropical sign.
So cardinals are about jumping in with something new, and obviously it's the first of the second seven, and so it's much more maybe internal, would you suggest? Obviously much more reflective and being able to pick up on things that maybe other people don't, and they can lead without even having to announce that that's what they picked up upon. So they can be like, okay, well, you're coming this way over here, and like maybe be quite a director and encourager for a certain mission that other people don't realize that they're even being ushered along upon. It could be that they're being gaslit quite in a way, but even for their own benefit. Like, you know, like you might say to a child, just come away from this hot stove, but you don't tell them why it's a hot stove. You just say, come and play with this toy or whatever it might be.
Yep. They're very, very friendly, gregarious, fun-loving, charming sign. Beautiful people, very good-looking. The most good-looking people are Librans in terms of symmetry, balance, and real beauty. Venus rules it, right there in the middle of the sine wave. It's Venus's beauty. So they are possessed of a certain physical beauty. They make great supermodels. Apparently, the best and the most prolific sign in the supermodel world is Libra, because of the symmetry that being in the middle of the wave produces.
It's a bit like a nomad, like the kind of nomad consciousness is like the central point inside of the toroid, right? And so
yeah, they're really good. They're really good at being happy and sad as well. There's always a tinge of sadness when the sun sets. They have that energy of that. Oh wow, that was beautiful. But now the sun's gone. The sun was in Virgo, the Virgin, a bit above the horizon from 4 to 6 every day. Venus is from 6 to 8 every day, PM. So Libra has that sadness connected. All the animals in the forest, they stop just as the sun's about to enter Libra. For about 5 minutes, they just all watch the sunset quietly, in obeisance, humbly, just adoring this moment, and then they get back chattering again. And that's Libra. They're chatty. They're the life of the party. If you want to have a good party, you need at least one Libran. You know, if not 2 or 3, get 2 or 3 Librans, a couple of Aquarians and Geminians. You know, if you want to have sort of a real lively party, because they're they're engaging, they're interactive, communicative, friendly. They've got humanity with them more so than other signs. And they're the true representations or archetype of the human, which means the apple. Man is manzana, apple in Spanish, man. In French, the same thing happens. Pomme is apple, homme is man. Pomme, homme. So Adam is the apple that he ate, and Eve, that's the apple. Apple is also an anagram for people. Apple, people, man, human, woman, manzana, the apple. So our toroidal field is this apple. So we are the apples of Apollo. Apollo is another way of saying apple. Everything is apples, Taurus fields, you see. And Libra is at the balance of the Taurus field. Aries comes out the center in the hyperbola. Aries, Taurus, Gemini. When it hits the top, it hits the Tropic of Cancer. Then it starts going down the Taurus field. The Taurus field goes like this. Cancer, 30 degrees, Leo, Virgo, and then it hits the plane of inertia and flips over, and that's Libra. Libra flips everything over, you know, that's why it's the partner sign, because it's 180 degrees opposite your first sign, Aries, your first house, and it's the 7th house. So it's obviously flipped over. It's you, but flipped over, and now it has to do with that flipped overness of your life. You know, like your partner. Your partner walks into your life, and my beautiful one is just right over there. So, hiding. No. So she comes into your life and she reflects what you like about yourself. You fall in love, right? So you fall in love with your partner. Oh, I love the way you do this. Oh, I love the way you do that. Oh, I love your hair. That's because you're loving yourself. You know, you're seeing the beauty you see in your partner. It's flipped around back onto you.
Yeah, I said to somebody last night after the Libra full moon that I really appreciate them because they remind me of how much I love myself.
Yes. Yes.
Being responsible, isn't it? Rather than projecting all of that, oh, you're perfect, put you on a pedestal. They're probably magnificent, but it's me that felt good, and they brought that remembrance that I'm good.
Yeah.
Or beautiful.
Yeah. So that's what a Libran can do. Oh, and by the way, I think I forgot to mention the aspect of divination as well. The good diviners. It's the house of, as I said, theology, spirituality, philosophy, divination, astrology. So that seventh house, according to Bonatti, 800 years ago, has a very, very, very priestly energy about it. It's also the house of buying and selling. So when you're doing your transits, if you're buying or selling something, Mercury transiting the seventh house in your chart means you're going to be buying and selling or commercing or teaching or training, coaching, mentoring, etc. But buying and selling is also another one of the things that Bonatti mentioned.
Seeing as I've got so much Libra, do you want to give a quick representation of what you think of my Libra placement before we get off of this?
So what do you got in Libra?
I'll show you very quickly. We don't normally do this, but I'll get it up and show you.
You're a Capricorn sun, right?
Yeah, this is my whole house sign chart there with the Libra ascendant, Libra south node, Libra moon. But the irony thing is with the Libra, as you say, it's flipped. So I've got a north node in Aries, but it's in the seventh house, which is Libra stuff. But if you actually go back to the first house, well, that's Aries stuff anyway. It's me, myself, and I. I am a Libra. And so that's the predicament of the Libra placements. But what's your analysis? Because after all of these lovely compliments you gave to Libra, it's a very complimentary sign. What would you suggest about this little stellium, if you will, of these three deities I've got there?
Well, in the first house, you got your first node in Libra, the priestly sign, and that's your caste, a Brahmin. You've been cast to be priest. In other words, you're going to be spiritually free, and you're going to be a king. You're going to be a sovereign when you study admiralty and maritime law, and you know how not to engage in it. So those are our two tasks: to be kings and priests, and who would not want to be that? So that's where you come from. But your north node's in the seventh house, which is about astrology, divination, philosophy, spiritual science, theology, and health. That's exactly everything that you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And you're doing it in a priestly way as a Brahmin, again, because your north node is in 16 degrees Aries. So where you're coming from and where you're going is along that equinoctial path. Your past is connected to your future along that axis, that you came from a priestly class and you will go out as a priest. You know, you'll be a master of divination.
It's very cool.
You'll be a master of, other things dealing with divination.
About the omen, this is one more thing I'll ask you about the chart particularly, and it relates to Libra, and then we'll stop doing it because I'm bashful, as Libras are. And so we were talking about how the omen is obviously what's visible in the sky, and the chart's ruled by Venus, which is actually beneath the horizon, not visible, but it's in Scorpio. So what would you say for Venus and for this placement? It's not necessarily, I would suggest, I'll answer my own question and I want your opinion. It's not this, I would like to say, it's not always that detriment is such a bad thing. It's a challenge so that one can really tune their instrument pretty sharp and be pretty good at things, but they have to learn through some good challenges.
Exactly. That's all it means. Venus in detriment in Scorpio is not woe is me. I'll never have luck with girls. They'll always be licentious and lustful. Scorpio always wanting to have sex on their mind, or it's always going to be the wrong girl. Mars is malefic, hence she's cursed. And in the second house is not very good either, because the second house has to do with death as well, opposite the eighth, which is death. The second also has somewhat of a deathly thing about it. So you've got two kind of detriments there, but all that shows, the way I see things and the way I've experienced astrology and how it works, is that you are going to see this negative side in your life. You're going to see it. You're going to witness it. It doesn't mean it's going to hurt you. It doesn't mean it's going to destroy you, or necessarily benefit you. It may do any one of those things. So that depends on you and your soul evolution. Someone else with lesser evolution than you, with a Venus like that, would probably find it really, really, really difficult to, say, find a satisfactory partner. That's what I interpret that like, right? But someone with high evolution, they will see that as well, that they're finding perhaps difficulty with a detrimental Venus in a masculine chart, but
so it's masculine. Libra is an air sign, and that's a masculine quality. But the Venus is actually in a water sign in Scorpio, in a watery house in the second, and so
yes,
it's all of these different things. It's always up against itself there.
yeah. But I've seen some beautiful, beautiful things come out of Venus in Scorpio in the charts of a lot of people, and that is they're very creative. Number one, very, very creative. Sexually, they're very in tune and attentive.
Yes.
And
open and like to deliver.
And more loving and more soft.
But also it's the occult, isn't it? So it's this tendency to be able to see beyond the light, beyond illusions, and have a perception which is like nocturnal.
Yep.
Especially with astrology being an occult science, it's again useful for that. But now,
yeah, so look, Libra's definitely one of my favorite signs. I'll always have good instant energy for the sign of Libra, especially the Libra moons. I've had good experiences with Libra and moon people. They're very fair and just. They're very balanced. I think it's my favorite moon, second to and Pisces, my moon, second.
As a Libra moon, and after having experienced this weekend, I see the Libra moon as a good extraction tool, because it's a bit like, okay, well, there's something which needs to be developed, something that needs to be made more clear. And this magnetic kind of sponge will bring around the feeling to be witnessed or experienced, and then we can say, oh, that's not me, that's some other situation, that's a past story, that's someone else's feelings, that's someone else's thoughts, and so we can witness it, experience it, reframe it, and do away with it and be done with that. And that's the benefit of the Libra moon. I enjoy.
Yep, lovely.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again for your time today, Santos. I'm excited to go into the depths of darkness with Scorpio next time. But until then, thank you very much. Maybe you could shed some light on what you feel about your solar return chart before we leave. You got any comments on you're going to have Venus right next to your sun for this year?
Yeah, you saw that, did you? Yes, that was beautiful in Aries. Oh my God, I'm so.
You always got beautiful women around you and good graces, but what's it mean? What's it mean for you?
All right, let me pull up my solar return chart.
Did you cast it for where you are based in Mexico?
Yep.
Cool. I looked at my lunar return yesterday, and they're very different from the two past months. But last one was in the 4th house. This time it's in the 12th house.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So that's what I liked. I've got my moon in my 7th house in Cancer.
Nice.
How's that for partners? And my partner's sitting right next to me, and she was born on a Monday, and I was born on a Sunday.
Perfect.
And so I've got the moon in Cancer in my 7th house. I've got Mars and the North Node in the 5th house, romance. I've got Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter in my 1st house. So it's going to be a very, very powerful year. Mercury and Neptune in my 2nd. Lots of commerce and business and money. And that beautiful Sun conjunct Venus on the 2nd degree of Aries on my birthday. Oh, man, in the 3rd house. Community, networking, short trips, intelligence, education, communication, brothers and sisters, neighbors, community. We're building a community right now as we speak, syncretismsociety.com. That's going to be we've already got that YouTube channel. We've already got the domain, syncretismsociety.com. We're doing a promo vid, which will be out in 2 weeks. So stay close to my channel and you'll see a promo vid. And I believe that that's the Sun and Venus in my 3rd house there, with the community. And Chiron's right there next to it. So healing in the community. And that's exactly what I'm doing. My solar return chart is really, 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 really good.
Sounds very nice, especially you talk about community with Venus ruling what will be the 4th house and your 9th house in that chart as well, with Taurus and Libra falling in those placements. So you're having an international, high etiquette, high intelligence community with a lot of value and prestige. I like it. And nurturing relationships with that moon in the 7th. Very nice indeed.
Oh, that's a biggie. I mean, just having my partner here, who is a triple Leo and born on a Monday, is very much a lunar type of woman, as I am a very solar type of man. It's interesting. I'm very aware of the day you're born on really, really does condition you individually. So if you're born on a Sunday, you are like the sun. She calls me my sun. And she was born on a Monday, therefore she's like a moon. I call her mi luna, my moon. And so that in the 7th house tells the whole story of my solar return chart.
Very cool, very cool. So one more question before you go then. It's like, so you've got the sun is in Aries for the next, is it another 20 days or something like this? So you're feeling the exaltation, you're feeling the sun in its best place, you're feeling this extra stimulus, especially as a Leo moon as well.
Sure.
Natally.
Yep.
Very cool. Well, thank you for your time today. Thank you for sharing, and I appreciate all of the wisdom and reflections. I'm excited to do it again. And everybody else, thank you for watching. I look forward to next time. See you later.
Bye, brother.
Cheerio.